coach always says it, man. It's in this room. You know, Dallas had everything to play for, man, and we beat them. Let's carry this momentum into the offseason. Let's roll these boys next year.
And one thing you guys gonna learn about me, I'm gonna bring some energy.
And I want to be a part of that championship. Like, sir, I want to taste that.
Hopefully we can put it all together and make us a run. Just watch what I do. That's all I got to say. Just watch what I do.
The whole sports world is in one spot.
Hey, AJ, how are you, buddy?
Not bad. Just working on 2 more stories.
Oh, wow. Yeah, glad you can join us today.
No problem.
So it seems like we had some news yesterday. I mean, I don't know if everyone's heard, but so we was just like same way we did it last time. AJ, you want to go ahead and open it up with where we are, and then for anyone that has questions, just put your hand up. If you want to come up to the floor to ask your question, that's good. I'm going to ask Caleb and LJ to check the chats, the purple chat down on the bottom. If you can't come up and you want to put it there to ask a question, then we will definitely ask it. But yeah, the floor is yours, AJ, and the hands can go up.
Oh, so just, pretty much we're still, nothing's new today yet. I think we're kind of just waiting for the official announcement at this point. I think it's going to be coming over the next few days. So it's, it's pretty much Harris and only Harris. There's a 1% chance it'll be somebody else, but I think, this whole non-binding, non-exclusive thing, it's, once you make a handshake deal, it's pretty much done at that point. So $6.05 billion. It's, we're headed to the official announcement, and then the process starts with the NFL.
Go ahead, Perez.
Thank you, Deuce. AJ, pleasure to meet you or talk with you in person. I've been following your stuff, obviously, particularly this story for some time now. I guess that was my question, and you kind of started right off with it. What is the benefit or the purpose, really, at this point of them, tagging it as a non-exclusive agreement, unless you feel there is a legitimate chance that another group, will come at this juncture? We know that there was another bid that was submitted, but I guess not able to meet this $6 billion, the 6.5, whatever it is, 6.05. So what was the purpose, you think, of doing it that way?
I think, here's what I think happened. I think this is my speculation. I think someone in Harris's ownership group, not Harris, leaked it. And everybody had to play catch up yesterday. The deal wasn't final. It still isn't final as far as we know, but it was so far along that, it just wasn't. I think they were waiting to announce it for a few days from now, and this kind of the news kind of got out there, everybody was scrambling yesterday. I think I'm not saying that. I think there's the non-exclusive part. Not sure. That's what's coming from some sources, but I think it's they were very close, and there's really nobody else. I think it was basically the fact that it leaked out a little before they were prepared. I think that was a factor.
Interesting. Go ahead, Caleb.
No, I appreciate you, AJ, for coming in this space. Don't. I don't hate you.
Well, I was working out. Yeah. I was at the gym doing my chest day, and I'm like, Jesus. Oh, sorry, Caleb. I will apologize for being
but you straight. On Monday. You straight. I made a joke about it in our chat. I was like, oh yeah, damn it. Me and AJ, I showed it, and he broke my ankle.
AJ, we gave him hell too. AJ, we gave him hell. AJ,
it was the muscle milk, AJ, apparently, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
No, go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
I think I've been every single Commanders podcast, I think. So I am out there. I do want to be held accountable for my report and everything else. So I get it. But I was like,
nah, you good. No, you straight. No, but 2 questions for you. First one, I know you said earlier it's like a 1% chance as anybody else. So with the Steve
Apostolopoulos.
Yes. So is it a chance or that he could still get it?
All right. So
go ahead.
Here's the thing. All right. Harris is probably going to announce a couple more partners, probably a lot more. either when it's officially announced or in the weeks after it's officially announced, and maybe even towards what the NFL's process will take a couple months before it gets to a vote. Just imagine you got two billionaires plus Magic Johnson, who is not poor. So that's $12 billion of valuation. That's $12 billion of assets that these three people have, and there's probably gonna be more. And just at 6.05, that's 1.8. That's more than $1.8 billion cash you need as part of the purchase. I cannot find, and also Steve Apostolopoulos also owns a casino, which would be problematic. There's so many things that I don't get, and I'm going to be going into this after this is all done, because I still don't know anything about him. I still don't know where his assets are. All we have are going off for a news report from 2 years ago that his family owned. His family was worth $3 billion US. That's it. I mean, so just the whole, I don't get it, and I don't understand. This is coming from the NBA people. I don't cover the NBA, and this is all being fueled by that, and to a lesser extent, maybe the team. So I just don't, they couldn't get Bezos in. Fertitta didn't want to go up beyond 5.6, and he also bought a casino, which could have been issues too. They're so, they're, to get to that level, to get to this level, you have. Snyder came out of nowhere to buy the team, in 1999. Yes, no one really knew who Dan Snyder was. But he also had, we also knew the companies he owned, how much they were worth, how much he was worth. We don't have any of that. And also Snyder had partners. Snyder didn't buy the entire team. He bought just over half at the time. So, or around half. So, that's, if the only thing I could see is if Snyder had him around to keep ownership, maybe. I mean, maybe Snyder was going to sell controlling stake, or maybe he would have just has Steve A around just to buy a minor stake in the team. I don't know. It's just there's so many unknowns. It's just basically conspiracy theories at this point.
And I'm gonna ask just real quick question, and then we can get to AJ. I know he had his hand up. What do you know about from what you've read and heard about Josh Harris? What are some things that you think fans will like about him?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm working on right now. I don't want to give away everything, but it's not earth-shattering news. But he's actually, he doesn't do a lot of media interviews, kind of like Snyder. More than Snyder. Snyder hasn't done one since 2014. But he does it. He puts people in place and lets them manage. Obviously, two of his franchises he bought, the Devils and the Sixers, have gone through a rebuild during that process. Now both are trending up. Both are in the playoffs. The Sixers are consistent playoff contenders, and they're going to probably have a decent chance to make a run in the East in the playoffs. The Devils, made the playoffs for the first time in several seasons this year, or maybe it was last year. So yeah, the last couple of years. So they both those teams are trending in the right direction. He doesn't, but he also is the one that he also admits mistakes, which is something Snyder never did ever. He kind of did maybe for the Beth Wilkinson investigation, maybe a little bit, but not in front of the cameras. I mean, he just did it in a release. Congress hit him for that lack of accountability, blaming Bruce Allen for everything. So he's rich. He got money. The stadium's not going to where it's. He's already him and David Blitzer, his partner, for the Sixers and the Devils. They're going through the process to build an arena in Philly, closer to downtown. And there's obviously a little political thing. It's like, they're going to need to do some work with the community to make that happen. But, they're consensus builders, and Harris, Blitzer, we don't know is part of this yet. I don't know if it will be. I have not heard, but Harris, he's a high school wrestler out of Chevy Chase, Maryland. He has local ties. He's very rich. He's a marathon runner. He stays in the background but in a good way, if that makes sense. I mean, he hires good people, and he lets them manage their teams. He doesn't, but he also asks questions. He's not a meddler, but he does ask, his executives and coaches and GMs and everybody else, what do you need? What do you guys need to be successful? And he gets those resources to them. Yeah, it's something that this team has not had. The Commanders have not had the entire time. We saw the NFLPA report. There's so many things. I would expect. there's things you could change quickly, and there's things that are going to take time, like the stadium. But the culture is going to be much different. I think it's going to be he's committed to this. He's been wanting to expand his sports portfolio into the NFL for a while. He looked at he looked at the New York Mets as well a few years back. There's we didn't know how Bezos would have ran things. We kind of know how Harris will.
Okay, that's good. That's great, AJ. I appreciate that so much. Go ahead, AJ. I know you got your hand up.
Yes, hello to my fellow AJ.
What's up?
Not much, man. But I guess I've only been in here for a short amount of time, but two things. It sounds like what you're alluding to, the fact that this news has broke this week kind of on an official status level, really, really happened because of Magic Johnson's interview with the Today Show. Am I off base for thinking that?
Not that you may have the right person, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a theory. I don't know. I think it's just kind of the way things have played out. Yeah, I would think that.
Okay.
So yeah, it didn't come from the team, and I don't.
I just thought it was weird that it got brought up because you know how these things go in PR elements.
Magic says a lot of things, and when he was a Lakers executive, even when he was a player, it's you have to wonder. So.
Yeah. So then the next thing that I was gonna ask about is, I guess from what I've been told from several people within the NFL, they could decide to vote on. The owners could decide to vote on this process and the fact of it being official, with Josh Harris and his group becoming the new owners of the Commanders anytime that they truly wanted to. It didn't have to be at a certain time frame.
Yeah, they're usually, if you go by what the Broncos and the Panthers went by, it took about 2 months. The process could be quicker. Even though he was a bidder for the Broncos, he obviously only Rob Walton had the application into the NFL. It could go quicker. The problem, if they announce it soon, very soon, there's a slight chance we could have, or maybe a decent chance we might have a vote by the May 22nd owners meeting. But it has to get in first and it has to go to the NFL, and then the clock starts. I think they're not going to wait on this. They're not going to sit on this. They want to move on from Snyder. I think that's clear. So this is not, and I think there's very little reason for concern that Harris will have any skeletons that will prevent anything. There's nothing out there that I've heard, and there's to hold anything up. And once it gets to this spot, once someone this is Bank of America will look really bad if something goes wrong during the vetting process, because it's that's on them. If they're the ones who have to do the research, if they don't handle many of these huge deals very often, so they want to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's far-fetched that this could possibly be expedited before the NFL draft in 2 weeks? Which is the next big platform?
No. They still have, they would call a special meeting if it's after the next owners meetings. I can't get a timeline until the application officially goes in, and then I'll have a little better sense of it. So there's, it'll be announced. Part of me thought we were going to have, and this is a couple of days ago, I thought they were going to announce it right before the draft. And maybe that was the plan. They got blown up yesterday. But they still need, even if it's a token effort, they still need to get the application into the finance committee, and then have to do at least a couple weeks worth of work to make sure, because the biggest concern for any new owner is debt, and will they do they have the partners in place? And we don't know everybody who's part of his. We have 3 names, but there's going to be others. So we don't even have a full list of partners yet. So it's going to be hard to say that they're going to be ready to vote next week or for the next couple of weeks, or let alone also I don't know. Now not every owner goes to the draft too. So that would be now the NFL could request them to be there easily enough. But I just don't think in 2 weeks that's enough time. I could be wrong, but the fact that it's still not official, that kind of makes me wonder. It's probably going to be there's still a shot for a May vote.
No, I appreciate you answering the questions, man, and just wanted to give you your flowers on providing this fan base and just national media overall coverage of what's been going on behind this process. I think it's amazing what you've been doing and putting up with, because I'm pretty sure these damn fans have been annoying.
I know, I get it, dude. It's freaking 24 years of Snyder's not been fun for a lot of people, so
but
around here, so I get it.
We know some people can be irrational, but just I applaud you for that, and even coming into a space like this and interacting with the everyday common folks and helping them understand the process.
Everyday common folk is crazy.
I'm an everyday common folk, man. Jeez.
Hey.
Damn, bro. Damn.
You see what I mean, AJ? They're so sensitive.
It's Dog Tired, Kim, and Keith. Go ahead, Dog.
Good morning, AJ.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I just wanted to preface this statement with, I don't believe that this is even in the possibility. I think that this is kind of at the goal line, but I've been hearing a few rumblings recently about a certain tech billionaire that may be interested in the team as far as a Walton Group. A Walton Group.
Is that Is Gasparino's filling this one?
No, I haven't gotten it from like reputable sources, but I've seen it a handful of times in recent days. So I just wanted to confirm with Larry Ellison, the co-founder of Oracle. Has he shown any interest in the team or any team for that matter?
Not that I've heard of. No, I mean he was mentioned for the Suns with a lot of other people. But I have not heard his name come up at all for the Commanders. And that's a name that pops up in certain other situations. And I actually inquired about Larry Ellison when this all started in November, and one of his associates, he's happy just to go spend money on spend his hundreds of millions of dollars on his boating efforts, I guess, his sailing team. That's where his focus is.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm because
I don't know that,
but that's a pretty big name for me in terms of like what I do. Yeah. So it's just like a very interesting thing that
that was one of the first. I had a whole list of names I started crossing off, and he was one of the first I did just because I inquired. Being from San Jose, being from Bay Area, I totally know what Oracle and how much money Larry has. So a lot of but yeah, he has his name has come up in other things, and then maybe he was. I don't even know if he's if he signed an NDA to even look at the books. Didn't take a visit either. So I'm not at this point. I think I don't think it's Harris's. Whether Larry took a look or not, I'm not even totally sure since I kind of ruled him out in November.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Hey, AJ, I know Matthew McConaughey was supposed to be speaking to several of the ownership groups, so I'm wondering if he might be included in the group, and is there any chance that Snyder's going to get his kids in on this at all?
Yeah, I think from everything it seems like it's going to be a full sale, so maybe I don't think Snyder's going to be holding back there's still, I guess, there's a chance, but we don't know the full details yet. But we know it's at least a very, 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 very major chunk of the team, if not all. It seems like all of it. So I'm not sure about that. And what was your first question? Sorry.
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, his name. Him and Jay-Z got out there, and RG3 and a couple others, kind of major names early on. I know RG3. You mentioned he talked to Harris, I think, a couple weeks ago. But yeah, there's there's possibility on that. We don't, like I said, we don't, there's going to be some pretty major names that are going to be announced as far as part of Harris's group. I just don't know if Matthew McConaughey is going to be one of them yet.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for all of your reporting.
No problem.
Yeah, AJ. So for me, the question that I have is about the timing. Like, I would never think that the NFL will have this done like during the draft because the NFL is too smart. They all about maximizing the opportunity.
No, yeah, I meant like a day before or 2 days before the draft.
Yeah,
Not,
yeah.
they would not. Although it would be a nice middle finger for Snyder to do that at during the draft, if that's his parting shot. But yeah, that's why I didn't mean at that. It was quite I meant a day before. I don't think they're gonna. They wanted to take away the news cycle, or get in the way of it, because everybody's focused on the draft.
Can you kind of like break down the process of where we are now and how it's going to look for the next few months or few weeks to when we actually have a new owner?
Oh, sorry, I cut out there. What was that question?
No problem. We're trying just like a time frame of from where we are now to when we'll have our new owner.
I say with 2 months. I would say 6 to 8 weeks is the normal timetable for once the application goes into the NFL. That's just going off of what prior sales. That process could be a little faster, a little slower. But yeah, that's what it is. And there's like I wrote yesterday, it's expected to be announced in the coming days, and then after that, I couched it saying before training camp, but training camp doesn't start till end of July. I think we're more closer to a June timeframe, if not, maybe a little earlier than that. But if everything gets together before the owners meet in Minnesota. But yeah, there's so I think Snyder will still be in charge during those 6 to 8 weeks. That could be a little less than that. But so then he'll get 24 votes for approval. It'll probably be unanimous, just like Rob Walton's was.
So what type of impact would that have, let's say, on Chase Young's fifth-year option and possible extensions within
I don't know. I think I think this really kind of, to make any changes before or after the announcement is made and before the approval by the NFL owners, I think there's kind of, I'm not saying they're going to be stagnant because the staff's going to be working and doing things to improve the team, the current staff. But yeah, I think a lot of those big decisions are going to kind of have to fall on Harris's plate once he takes over officially.
Okay. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, thank you, AJ. So my question is about that 30% requirement for being liquid for owners. Can you talk a little bit more about how that might change in the future? It seems like that is tied to the willingness maybe of the commissioner to kind of be in these situations or to then have to cover up for them, where maybe if they weren't so exposed to these large big fish, then maybe they wouldn't have to cover up for them. Can you just talk a little bit more about that rule and where it might change, if it will ever?
Yeah, the 30% sure. Yeah, they're still hesitant to change it. I talked to some owners at Phoenix. They're still hesitant there. I think the first thing they're going to be doing, the more likely route, is opening limited partnerships, co-ownership to private equity like other sports leagues have. I think that's the first thing they're going to try because they still want somebody with a lot of money to own the team, and it's even though these valuations have 30% is a lot to move around, and it is. Even Rob Walton, for his, he's worth $80-90 billion. He had to move. He wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not saying it was difficult, but he had to move a lot of money around, and it took time. That's what also takes a lot of time. Is during the ownership process, during once the application goes in, Harris will have to sell his 5% stake in the Steelers, and he's already moving. Once it's been announced, he may already be moving towards that. It's not going to hold anything up. So he will have to. He may have to put it in a trust until someone buys it or something. But yeah, it's not going to be a barrier. So there's certain things that happen after the announcement that there's still sometimes potential owners or winning bidders have to move some money around. Not that they're poor. It's just the way we're talking this huge amounts of money we're talking about here to make that $6.05 billion bid to fund it. So yeah, the 30% rule, they're still hesitant to change that. But they're, but they think, giving open up private equity would give, the next team that goes on sale some more flexibility, and also will allow current owners to cash out on their equity.
Good stuff.
I take one more question and I'll get back to work. I'm sorry, I'm on deadline.
Oh, no problem. This is good. Last question, Duran.
Okay. Well, my question is, since the agreement has been reached in regards to that, so I know Deuce had always talked about there was some type of agreement that can be made where it doesn't affect the functionality day to day with the team, especially with the draft coming up. And typically players when they get drafted, they talk to the coach and then they talk to the owner. So will we just not have an owner for the players to talk to since it's kind of in limbo, or like what is that looking like until the official?
I don't know. I mean, Snyder's totally checked out. It seems like. I think it's more likely the players going to be drafted, be talking to Jason Wright and Martin Mayhew and Ron Rivera more than the ownership. He was never the most. He hasn't been the most. He hasn't done an interview since 2014. Dan Snyder. So he's not one of those who's been very especially the last 3 years. He hasn't been very out front publicly in these situations. So maybe, but yeah, we know he did. He had discussions with Eric Bieniemy before he was hired. So I don't know. I'm not sure what if it's announced that he has accepted Snyder has accepted Harris's offer. If he'll fade further in the background, I'm just not sure.